If you're not careful, it is absolutely easy to over-attribute intelligence to various people. I'm not saying that in order to be mean, and I'm not saying it to try and tout my own intelligence. I'm just saying that there are a lot of people out there who are maybe not as intelligent as you might assume them to be. I want to talk today on a subject of the Cascade returns on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Saturday, the 14th of May of 2022. Welcome to everyone who's here on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube, on BitChute, on CloudHub, on my Facebook page. That would be the Kurt's Religion and Politics page there, on kurtzreligionandpolitics.locals.com. On minds.com, and you will typically see me on the Kurt's Religion and Politics group there. You may periodically see me on the Let's Talk Autism group there as well. You may see me on Parler, on Gab, on Twitter, or pretty much anywhere else that you happen to be able to grab me. The subject for today again is cascading returns, and I'm going to go ahead and go through my notes to give you some idea of what I'm talking about. I suppose it's fair to say one ought to never underestimate one's adversaries. On the other hand, I'm sorry to tell you, it can be far too easy to ascribe to them more wisdom or intelligence than they actually possess. And this is what I was saying in the beginning of my intro. I said in a recent podcast that there's a tendency for each of us, yes, that does include me, to live with some amount of cognitive dissonance. Many of us work to reduce that on an ongoing basis. I do, but I still have it as an issue with which I must constantly contend. I think you'll find that many in positions of authority have more such problems than you would normally count them to. As such, when somebody like Drew Berquist, whose opinion and perspective I greatly respect and value, by the way, talks about the idea that such people are intentionally causing things to be as they generally seem to be, I have to believe he's overstating the case. Not intentionally, mind you, but I just believe he's overstating the case. The fact is, if the people in question have certain root issues, you can count on a series of cascade effects to occur. And sadly, those who cause them through policies based on those issues will be likely to be all but blissfully unaware that things occurring tumble out of that waterfall. I'm not saying they won't seek to lay blame for many such things at the feet of others. I'd be surprised if they didn't do so, right? If you can try to say people you count as enemies are responsible for the evil or otherwise bad things that are happening in the world, and you believe others will buy what you're selling, whether or not you do, you may come to the conclusion, it behooves you to do just that. For my part, I'll say I don't see that being true. It's not really intelligent to do that. You should take blame where it lies, and you should not place it where it doesn't. But what I wanted to try to bring to light today is that it's probably attributing too much intelligence to the folks currently working to mess things up to say all that's happening is by intent. Should they know what they're doing is cascading into other problems, that things are snowballing? I would certainly have said so. Let's be honest, though. Many of them just aren't sharp enough for me, at least, and I don't suppose I'm alone in this, to believe they can engineer such things. Thankfully, if you want to couch it in these terms, there are a series of basic ideas that can pretty much be assured to knock over dominoes, resulting in an ever worse series of events occurring. And again, if they can convince folks those dominoes falling are the result of those they count themselves against doing something or things wrong, all the better. It's sad, or it's a sad truth, it is sad, that many in government in this country, Democrat, Republican, Uniparty, or whatever, because I'm sorry to say this, most of the people who call themselves Republicans are really part of a large Uniparty, will seek to stay so they can continue to wield power long past when they should have ceded it to others. Worse yet, as has been pointed out, around them are people who may stay for a very long time and, quote, serve, end of quote, whoever finds their way into office regardless their party affiliation. Those folks will often provide, quote, talking points, end of quote, designed to make those folks for whom they supposedly work look like they have a clue. If nothing else, it keeps them in their good graces, the people, the bureaucrats. Sadly, the individuals in question often seem to buy into that rhetoric, that is, the politicians and so forth. In all of this, though, I want to make one thing as clear as I can. Most of the people in government in this nation do not have the intelligence. And really, that's not a slight, the slight you might think I'm making, considering few, if any, do have that level of mental horsepower to plan various bad or problematic things currently going on. Rather, those things are an example of the Cascade returning. Building your house on sand pretty much certainly results in a structure that falls in on itself in short order. This, sadly, appears to be a common base, sand, on which such folks build various structures. The result is obvious. In short, the Cascade returns. Look, when you do things that are base, that are root, and you found what you do, you find what you do, you found what you do on those bases, and those things are bad, they're bad foundations, they are going to often cause things to cascade. And particularly when people who are affected, who start to look at things like Ronald Reagan, I'm told, did. Mr. Reagan, I was told, decided that he wasn't going to act past a certain point of salary because it wasn't worth it. In the breakover, he made so little money that it just wasn't worth it for him to do it. And he's not alone. There are a lot of people who get to that point where they go, yep, no sense my doing any more than this because I'm going to be penalized for that activity. If I get above a certain dollar amount, people are going to start calling me the rich, and the next thing I know, they're going to be taking what I have. And there are lots of things like this that are cascades from what people are trying to do. And as somebody pointed out recently, a lot of times they're just clever ruses anyway. So here's one that happened recently. Somebody was saying we're going to tax corporations because if we tax corporations, we're not taxing individuals. But any individual who knows anything knows very well if you're taxing corporations, prices are going to go up. Wages at those corporations are going to go up as well to keep the prices roughly the same. And the result is going to be that the prices are going to go up at the very least, and wages, as I say, along with them, which means other people's wages will need to rise as well if they intend to be able to have the same buying power for their dollar as they had before any of that happened. And all of this is a cascade out of this idea, oh, we're just going to tax the corporations as opposed to taxing individuals. There are people out there arguing that corporations are being treated like they're people. I want you to understand something. It doesn't matter at all. And again, keep this in mind in terms of how it relates to the cascade. I don't just want to talk about this in terms of the thing itself. I want you to see that there's a cascade, a ripple that happens as a result. So you tax a corporation saying they're something different than an individual and they need to be taxed differently. Great, fine. There are two realities. One, there are people out there who are small corporations, and they too will probably end up ultimately getting taxed for those things that you're talking about. And two, and this is very important, when people get taxed, if they are to survive, they must find ways to make money, and that means they either seek greater efficiency or charge more for their product. Now, I grant you that a good company will try to seek efficiencies, but part of seeking efficiencies often is to reduce your staff, because staff costs more money typically than just about anything else that you're going to spend your money on. Sometimes you'll have equipment that'll be super expensive, but a lot of the time, staff is what you constantly spend money on. And again, I want you to keep in mind that this is the ripple effect type of thing that we're talking about. When you've got people in government who find cute and clever ways to supposedly do things in ways that won't hurt you or whatever, it doesn't mean that those things ultimately won't do exactly that. The cascade will continue, and it's not a choice because, as I say, those individuals, those businesses, whatever they happen to be, will have to up their game in order to make it so that they can continue to survive on whatever it is that they happen to be doing. This is what you need to understand. So, as I say, the cascade returns. It's back again where we do some things and they cause other things to happen. It cascades down the flow, and the next thing you know, you've got all kinds of stuff going on that I don't think they really plan. I don't think they have to. They're just going to happen naturally as a result of various socialistic tendencies that people are putting in place. Okay, this has been the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host, I'm Kurt, and today is Saturday the 14th of May of 2022. That means tomorrow will be, oh, by the way, Saturday being the end of the Sabbath, as a lot of folks know, it's sundown today. Tomorrow will be Sunday, that beginning of the Christian week. For those among you who are Christian, that's almost certainly true. Sunday the 15th of May of 2022, I might say. Thank you for having come aboard on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube, on BitChute, on CloudHub, on my Facebook page. That's the Kurt's Religion and Politics page there. On kurtzreligionandpolitics.locals.com, on minds.com, primarily on the Kurt's Religion and Politics group, though you might see me on the Let's Talk Autism group periodically, on Parler, on Gab, on Twitter, or wherever else you might happen to be seeing or hearing me today. Subject for today has been cascading returns, and tomorrow we're going to talk on a subject of understanding scope. I think a lot of people fail at this in some kind of interesting ways, and I'm going to go ahead and talk on that tomorrow, somewhat with regard to the concept, for example, of pandemics. I'm not going to get into a specific one, but I'm going to make some points as far as all of that goes. Hope you're having a good day today. Hope everything is going well for you and continues to do so, and hopefully we will see you again on Sunday, the 15th of May's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This podcast was created on Saturday, the 14th of May of 2022. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching today's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. Don't forget to come back tomorrow to check out the next one. Remember, on various platforms, primarily Rumble, YouTube, BitChute, and CloudHub, and the audio podcast, you can subscribe to my content. For the audio podcast, you probably want to use Apple, Google, or Spotify. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. In order to find me on those platforms, you can go to the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble, YouTube, BitChute, and CloudHub. You can also get to my content on Facebook by finding the Kurt's Religion and Politics page there, minds.com, where you will find me at the Kurt's Religion and Politics group, and Kurt's Religion and Politics.locals.com as well. You can look there. I post my daily video on various social media sites, really only about 3, Parler, Gab, and Twitter at present. I am at KP Schubert on each of them, and you can find me under them, and you can find the videos under me. You should be able to find my podcasts on Google and Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It's also on podcasts.kpschubert.com. That's podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. If you're looking for me on various of the podcast sites, you probably want to search Kurt's Religion and Politics, not the Daily Summation. Keep in mind, you can subscribe to my content on various places that I put it. All constructive feedback is welcome. You can like, dislike, add a rumble, or give whatever feedback is available on any of the platforms that you can do such things. You can also add a comment on what I put there. Unless you're advertising or doing something that I believe will harm others, I'll leave your comments out there even if I don't agree with or understand them. I will try to let you No, I've seen them when possible and may reply if I feel it's reasonable, appropriate, and possible, of course. Thanks again for viewing this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. Don't forget to come back again for tomorrow's episode.